if you go fishing with Dino, ask him about the story in Tiger Lily in Portsmouth, where he took me and a few of the Leicester's young lads under his wing, and it ended up with him eating 2 kebabs and chips and trashing the hotel room that me and him were staying in. He'll deny it. He gave me my P45 for a day, but it definitely happened. He's an absolute legend.
Yeah, he is. I will ask him about that.
But it's been a while since I obviously got in contact with you. It's good to connect. It's like we've been trying to make it happen for the last year and a half and that. So it's great to have you at last.
No, it's good to be on.
And mate, now you're smashing it. That's why I wanted to get in contact before you went too big time. And you were impossible to get hold of, and the agents would be we put in a block on you. So
to be fair, I think my agent used to be your agent.
Who's that?
Woodsy.
Man, I had about 4 or 5 agents. They were all promising me Adidas boots and stuff like that. So and when they weren't delivering, I just got rid of them all. So, mate, but let's chat about life at the minute. Obviously, it's been a crazy 18 months. We're still doing this on Zoom. You lads, there's a bit of normality now with fans back in the stadiums, you know, after what's been a tough kind of few months just for everyone, but in sport and obviously rugby trying to reboot. But for you personally, you know, I say this from the outside looking in, one of the most exciting young talents in Europe at the minute. How is life? Has it been a bit weird, or is it kind of, you've been on this path for quite a while? You know, because it feels like you've just come out of nowhere, is what I'm trying to say. And
yeah, it
might not be the case from you.
I suppose it kind of doesn't really feel like that. Obviously, it was pretty mad. Like obviously last season, the back end of last season, getting obviously a call up into the summer tour, and then ended up getting a cap like that. That was all pretty mad because I've never done any age group stuff. So I didn't know what to expect. I didn't know what the crack would be. But yeah, it went so quick, and now it feels like it's just a bit mental. Do you know what I mean? I can't really. Yeah, I don't know how to describe it. It's just been nuts to think about, and then obviously I think about playing in that game like every day. Like I've played for England. That's pretty mental.
Yeah, well, and you were class as well. It's interesting you said that it's gone so fast. We can get onto that, but how were your discussions with Eddie and the England setup? So if you said you've not played age group and stuff, speaking frankly, Newcastle have struggled in recent years, and you've obviously taken the game by the scruff of the neck in terms of what you bring to it. But were there any kind of pre-discussions with Eddie? I know he brought out a kind of wider squad, and there was a few kind of choices that were kind of outside of the generic thinking that people would have picked for an England squad. Did you have chats to him and lead it to that?
It was pretty weird, to be fair. Obviously, I found out there was like a wider squad that went out, and I wasn't involved in that because obviously there was guys from the club that had the email, and everyone was like, "Oh, have you had it? Have you had it?" And I was like, "Had what?" So that was pretty good. But then obviously I knew that Eddie was coming up that following weekend to watch the Worcester game. So in my head, it was just like, you know, here's a crack. Knew I kind of had to play well. And then after the game, thought I had a pretty decent game. And I was just like, if I get any chat, good. If not, then, you know, I feel like I've had a pretty decent game. If nothing's going to come off the back of that, then that's that for now. But not getting that initial email was gutting. And then it kind of just popped up on like a Tuesday night. I just got an email and I was like, what the hell? Like, bringing my family and stuff, it was pretty nuts.
Let's talk about Newcastle and the start of the season you guys have had. Not just the way and where you are in the league, but the way that you're playing. How are things there? You exciting times?
Yeah, definitely. I think, you know, we've got, obviously there was that like wider England squad, and there was 4 of us in that, which is, you know, the most the club's had for a long time. And if you look at the team that's playing, you've obviously got Steve-O, who's playing 13 at the minute. Like last year he played all year on the wing and was class. Now he's in the centre, which, to be fair, I'm not sure what he prefers, but, you know, he's playing really well. So we've just got quite a young side, and like our backline at the minute, I mean, take Brownie out of it, but it's very young and inexperienced. So like, we're only going to grow as a back line especially, but as a whole team, we're only going to grow. And then we've got like a mix of young guys with people like Brownie in there, who brings that experience, that knowledge. I think, we're only going to get better, and I think it's really exciting at the minute at the club.
Yeah, you can see that. So I've been doing a bit of digging, bit of research. I won't say who it is, but from a great source, quote, said to me that Radders is not down with the young lads. What does he mean when he says that?
I don't really know.
Old at heart? Do you hang about with the young lads? He said something about the banter. I can't repeat it.
I honestly have no idea. I would say I don't know. That's a bit of a
Scott McLeod, who I played for Scotland with, who, as you know, is a top lad.
Yeah, he is.
I said, well, tell me some stuff on Radders, because I'm just watching him, the Egyptian Prince, on YouTube. That's all I'm seeing. And obviously, you get kind of make your opinion on players just superficially. I said, so what's he like? And he just says, he loves the banter, but he's not down with the young lads, whatever that means.
I don't know what he's having a pop at there, to be fair. I don't know.
I don't even know what down with the young lads means. There's this new age of young lads, though, isn't it? It's like TikTok and selfies.
I'm not a big selfie taker or TikToker, to be honest. I don't know if he means about that.
So talking about older lads then, so big Dino, Dean Richards, he was my coach at Leicester. Now I'm looking at you young lads coming through, the TikTokers and all that, and the Snapchatters, not that you are, but the young lads and this new kind of generation of how they consume life. How's Dino with all you young lads? I mean, I can't speak highly enough of the bloke, but he is pretty old school.
He's very old school, but he's funny. Honestly, I get on with him really well.
Well, this is what Scott McLeod means then. The fact that you get on really well with Dino. Come on.
Yeah, maybe. I just, he's old school, and he likes to make, he likes to try and make you feel a bit uncomfortable. He likes to have a bit of crack, and yeah, that's just what he is. And I think once you kind of get that, he's very funny. Yeah, he's actually been trying to take me fishing for a while, but the weather's been crap, so I'm looking forward to that, because he's got some brilliant stories and so I'm looking forward to that.
That he has. And this is I'm answering the question. You've just answered the question with Scott McLeod's comment that you're not down with the young lads, the fact that you're going to go fishing with Dino. If you go fishing with Dino, ask him about the story in Tiger Lily in Portsmouth, where he took me and a few of the Leicester's young lads under his wing, and it ended up with him eating 2 kebabs and chips and trashing the hotel room that me and him were staying in. He'll deny it. He gave me my P45 for a day, but it definitely happened. He's an absolute legend.
Yeah, he is. I will ask him about
that. What's it like playing at Newcastle? So you're in the northeast. I've played there many a times. It can be absolute misery. I'm a big advocate for summer rugby. I don't like the 4G pitches, having played on one at Sarries. But give us a kind of snapshot of the two things that I've mentioned there. The weather in Newcastle, and it's probably better that you're playing on a 4G pitch, and if you're happy with them kind of pitches and being able to play the style of rugby that you want to play.
Yeah, obviously the weather is a big factor. It's always cold, it's always windy, and most of the time it's wet when we play. But we don't mind that. We're quite used to it. So I think we use that, as like a weapon for us. Because teams, no one wants to come to Kingston Park on a Friday night when it's cold and wet and windy. So we love it. Come up here when it is wet, when it is windy, and when it's cold, and try and play. And we'll, we love that, and we use that. That's part of our game, really. But at the same time, we do like to throw it about. We will throw it about. But we like it. We're north of the wall. We're like the Wildlings.
You absolutely are. But what about getting the ball on the wing, though? So when it gets into the winter months, and you want to play for England, of course you do. Yeah. And part of that is you showing off how quick you are, your footwork, not having to catch these high balls that are swirling around. Have you got to try and adapt your game when it comes into these winter months? Do you have that kind of in your back pocket?
Obviously, there's a lot of areas in my game I need to work on. But, I can still show how quick I am by stuff like kick chase. It sounds, it's not as fun as getting the ball and running past people or whatever, but that's a different way of showing my kick chase. There'll be a lot of defending to be done. So it's just about, using my strengths, but in different areas, and just implementing on the game when I can. And I love the 4G pitch, and I think that they get a lot of stick, but I think if they're looked after well, they are good. And I think, people, this is probably going to be quite controversial, but people complain about how like dangerous they are and stuff like that. But I think when there's the boggy grass pitches are getting cut up with scrums and there's massive holes in the pitch, surely that is equally dangerous. Talk about like knee injuries, ankle injuries when you're running and you're running in a massive divot. But I think there does need to be some kind of regulation, because like there is a massive difference between ours and Sarri's. Sarri's is a lot harder, a lot firmer.
Yeah, I mean, I don't necessarily think it's controversial, but I think as a young lad who's playing, and there's obviously, you've got a long career hopefully in front of you, and you're going to be skidding and scoring tries in the corners of the 4G pitches. For me, it wasn't necessarily about the studs, and I agree with you, like Sarri's is obviously well worn as well. It's the burns. I was down at Gloucester, and I just saw Johnny May when I was down there for a charity game. He had these burn marks all over his legs. And I think that's the thing, that I've still got scars on my forehead now. You can see these kind of burn marks that I've got from the grass, or the plastic grass, as I should say. I think that's the thing more so than the studs. And, Newcastle's pitch, I was more worried about drowning than rolling the ankle on. Do you know what I mean? On the mud. But I think that's the thing where the conversations have been going around the burns.
It sounds, I'm not sure if this is the case, but like your skin gets used to it. I never ever get burns, ever. And whether that's because I've played there for quite a while and your skin kind of just turns into leather, or what, on your shins and elbows, but I never get burns on the pitch. The only time I got a burn last year was Quins away, last game of the season, when it was baking hot on grass. So yeah, I think it's tough, maybe obviously playing on grass all the time and then going to a dry 4G. You are going to get burnt, I'd imagine. Yeah, but you genuinely, boys up here that play and train on it every day, we don't get these burns.
Really interesting. A different perspective on it from a lad. Well, I was going to say you dive into the corners, but when you're that quick as you are, and we'll get onto that now. I've not seen you dive that much. You just place the ball down because you're 5 meters in front of the nearest defender. So my next question being, and it sounds like a bit of a throwaway question, what is it like playing rugby when you're as quick as you are? But how does it feel when you're in open space and you can hear the crowd now, thankfully, back? What's it like?
It's class. I love hearing a crowd. I love and even if it's like a hostile atmosphere, like I just like playing in that. I like to feed off the atmosphere. Last year with COVID, we had some great, we came up from the champ. I don't think anyone really expected much of us, like realistically. I think we had some great results home and away, and that was like the one thing that was missing was that atmosphere to go with it. So it was nice back in the year. We had 2 home crowds and two wins, and then obviously we had a decent game against Quins this year. We were in it. Couple things maybe went where we lost our way a little bit, and anyway we lost the game, but we played well and the crowd was brilliant. And then more importantly, at the weekend we obviously got a red card, and we stuck in and the crowd really helped, and the atmosphere was great. It was really good, and I think the crowd's now becoming a big part of it at Kingston Park. Yeah,
absolutely, especially the way that you play as well. I think not the defining moment, there'll be a few of them, but I think where you catapulted yourself on the scene was where you skinned Johnny May. I thought you actually beat Johnny May in a foot race, but I looked at it back, correct me if I'm wrong, but you actually went round it, and that was the kind of point where it was on TV and everyone was talking about you then. People are naturally going to compare you to quick guys in the league, Johnny May, Lewis Rees-Zammit, just to name 2 of the Gloucester lads that are rapidly quick. Over 100 metres, which is what most people put a gauge on how quick a human being is, a fellow human being. If, say, I'm 14 seconds, right, which for me sounds pretty quick over 100 metres, it could be 16 seconds now. Have you done your 100 metre time? Because that's what people say when they once you're 100 metres in.
I get that. I get asked that a lot, and I've never done it because when I was younger, I was quick, but there was always someone in my school that was a little bit quicker. It wasn't till I started going to the gym and I started getting a lot quicker. So I've never done it. So I wouldn't have any idea. My plan was to do it over the summer in my off season, but obviously then I did the summer tour, so my off season was a little bit different, so I didn't get a chance to do it. But I am going to do it at some point. I'm going to do it like on a track, spiked up, just to to see where I'm at.
And what about an England camp when you get the numbers over like 50 meters, 40 meters? You go through the gates and these things.
Yeah.
Have you got any stats you can hit us with, and stats of some of the other quicker players, or that globally? Because they'll have like information on like Cheslin Colby, for example, and some of the best wingers in the world. Do you know how you compare to them in them?
I honestly don't. We don't. In the summer, we didn't do any like testing stuff. We did. Obviously, we got GPS data, so I know that my top speed I hit in a session was, I think it was 10.85 meters a second. But like you'll only hit that for like a split second. That was my max speed. But I wouldn't.
Was that with ball in hand or chasing the ball?
That was without the ball. That was doing like a top up.
Mm.
But I wouldn't know. See, like everyone's GPS is different. Like, so I wouldn't know what that would be compared to anyone else. Or
yeah, mine would be pretty low. Well, it was pretty low. I'm not even trying to compare myself. I was probably one of the slowest rugby players to have ever played the game. Who else is quick out there? So you look at now who's playing the game, and you're looking from both a fan perspective, but someone that you can potentially play against. We just mentioned, I know Johnny May. You absolutely registered. Let's be honest, with the footwork. But who else? Who else is out there where you're like, yeah, I'd love to go up against him, or I'd love to race him?
I don't know. Obviously, Zamet's ridiculously quick as well. I don't know. Every team in the league has got someone that's rapid.
And how do you see it unfolding? What's like the dream kind of visual? If you're lying in bed, and for me, it was like a driving line out and me getting over and stealing the ball or something just crap like that. Like, what do you picture? Is it a chase back? Is it the ball in hand? Do you know what I mean? What's the kind of moment of a quick man where it's like that's how you want to be seen? That's what you envisaged. It was like being a winger playing at the highest level.
Probably I'd say probably a chase back. I quite like a chase. That's probably the one for me, I reckon.
And then what about growing?
Is that better than scoring a try? Like, I don't know. I couldn't pick. I reckon it's like probably skinning someone, to be fair.
Yeah, of course it is. And what about growing up? You're obviously a young lad. We've seen a number of unbelievable players. I was watching actually a clip on James Simpson-Daniel, one of my former teammates. I mean, he played in the charity game against Bristol with a fused ankle, and he is absolutely skinning everyone. I mean, he was just world class. But is there any players that you looked up to? I know it's kind of like with the modern day rugby player, it's very different to kind of how it used to be. Cheslin Colby is one player that people are speaking about. But do you look at anyone and be like, that is what I want to be like, or he is who I wanted to be like?
So I grew up, when I was very young, I wasn't really that interested in rugby. But when I started watching it, it was Sonotti. Just because, he's a freak. I remember when I first went to Newcastle, you'd see him in training and he would just be the most chilled, relaxed man. I remember my first year we had a pre-season game, like an internal game. And he got the ball one-on-one with the fullback and tried to chip him and just kicked it straight at the fullback's stomach. And you're like, what is this guy doing? But then when it comes to game time, he was just on his day. And that year we finished in the top 4. Personally, I think him and Nicky were the best wingers in Europe. I just think they were undefendable. I think what they both brought was, because Sonotti was so small and he had such good feet, he'd either rinse you or he'd bump you. He was so unbelievably strong. So I was quite lucky. I got to train with them two quite a lot, and you just watch them in awe and try and learn as much as you could from them in that aspect.
Yeah, it's funny you say he'd either skin you or run over you. Saracens, we played against Newcastle. I'm stood at guard, so I'm stood next to the ruck, as safe as any rugby player can ever feel. And he takes a cut line. I'm thinking, well, I'll just stand there, and he's literally ran over me. He's probably came up to my hip and sat me down. Sonotti. So it's not about all that sprinting, is it? It's about the strength and conditioning. It's about the squats and all that. Just tell us a little bit about how you become quick. I mean, I wish someone would have told me when I was a young lad, but they didn't.
So it makes me think, when I was young, when I was at primary school, I was dead fast. And I used to just think, why don't you just to slow people, just run faster. But obviously, I know it's not like that now. There's obviously a lot more to it. Yeah, so there's a lot into it, whether it's flexibility. I mean, like speed mechanics, you can go into so much. But when I first turned up at Newcastle, Kev, the S&C, was like, you've probably got the worst running technique I've seen from like a back. But so he didn't want to change too much because obviously it was working. So it's kind of just, we looked at that, made a few little tweaks there, a bit of gym stuff, because obviously if your legs are stronger, you can push more through them. So there is quite a lot to it. And it's like, one thing I would say, like if you are trying to get faster, it's not going to happen like overnight. It takes time. And
what kind of exercise then in the gym? I mean, is it all about squats? I know there's a big part of this strength and conditioning. And again, you mentioned that, are you a young lad now at 23? And you look at the profile of some of these players coming through now, the size of them, universities, club level, schools, like the kids are just massive.
Yeah.
But just tell us a little bit about like the kind of gym stuff that you do around, is it squats, is it deadlifts, is it cleans, that kind of stuff. And give us some numbers as well. Hit us with some numbers, come on.
Okay, so I don't squat. I very, very rarely squat. It's all about like cleans and stuff like that. A lot of jump-based stuff. Cleans. I'm trying to think numbers. So my best clean is 140, and that's off. So that's off the floor.
And then box jumps and stuff. So is that what you're doing? So like the power
like
stuff.
Reactive stuff, whether it's like jumping over hurdles, like a lot of lateral jump, because that'll help with like footwork as well. Like loads of. Basically, a lot of the forwards laugh because they'll come in the gym and they're, what they're doing, they're squatting and they're deadlifting, and I'm basically just jumping around the gym. So I get a bit of stick for that, but they're like the cart horses.
Exactly right. Let's talk about the season then and the expectations of Newcastle. Before we do that, let's just jump back to what it was like playing in the Championship. And I played a season for Nottingham years ago. I can't speak highly enough of the Championship, both from how much the players get paid, which is very little. The arse end of some places, it's a tough league to play in. What was it like playing in the Champ for you as a winger?
It was tough. And it was tough because, every time you played someone, it was their cup final. So like they would usually every time you play someone, they play their best because, they're so up for it. It's their chance to have a pop at the likes of Toby Flood. It's their chance to smoke him. So people like him, he took a lot of stick. I think he was on the end of quite a few cheap shots. But yeah, so it's every team's cup final. Every time you play them, you go away to places which is where the facilities aren't the same. I remember getting changed in like porter cabins. I remember subs getting changed outside in the dugout because there wasn't enough room. Everyone wants an upset. So like secretly the refs want you to lose, I think. Everyone just wants to see you lose basically. But again, I quite like that. I like going to like hostile environments and like I kind of absorb that. But yeah, I remember we got a shock as well. Like I think we did get a bit of a shock some places. We went to, I think it was Nottingham away, like half the floodlights didn't work. So like balls are getting kicked and you can't actually see them. But I think there is a massive, in the Champ, I think it is great and I think it's needed. But I think there is a big difference in the top of the Champ and the bottom of the Champ. You've got teams like Ealing, like Cornish Pirates that are, have a bit more money than the rest of them other teams, and they are very, very good sides.
Yeah, absolutely. Tell me then quickly around England, and you got a taste of it. Let's just go back to the initial bit where you mentioned, like, you think about it all the time. What was it like playing for England? Has that really whet the appetite to really try and kick on? And then have you had any discussions with Eddie Jones and the England team? There's obviously been camps happening at the minute as well.
Yeah, it's just made me incredibly hungry to do it again. It was something, you dream of playing for your country, but you don't want to do it once. You want to do it as much as possible. I want to do it in front of a full Twickenham. Do you know what I mean? I did it in front of 10,000 and it was amazing. And all I can think about is imagine doing it with 80,000. But no, it was really good in the summer. I learned a huge amount over the 4 weeks. Like, made some good mates there, and it was really good. In regards to, I think there's another camp coming up before the games, but I'm obviously not too sure how that'll go. I need to just keep playing well for Newcastle, and then that kind of, whether I'm in or out of the England stuff, will take care of itself if I'm playing well for Newcastle.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, Radders, thanks, mate. It's been a long time coming to get a chat to you. I've been watching you from afar. It's class to see a young lad carving up the Prem and some real excitement building around Newcastle, and obviously competing in the England squad with some world-class players as well. So really appreciate you chatting to me on RugbyPass, buddy.
Thanks for having me on. It's been class.